I'm taking the day off today. I'm not doing anything. It might be sunny, but it's cold and it's windy. And when it's windy outside, it's not that it gets into the house, but you hear it sometimes, especially through the chimney. It makes me really tired, so I'm not going to do anything of any significance. But yeah, I do have time to think when the weather is like this because you just don't want to go out. When it rains here, it's not like Belgian rain, it's real rain, like a torrent, a deluge coming down. It's very inhospitable. So I've been spending a lot of time in front of my fireplace there. And I was starting to think again about the megaliths here in Italy, how nobody cares. And it's true that nobody cares. I mean, there are people that care about them. I mean, some tourist groups that want to get people on a hike to them, but that is also the reason why Italy mostly ignores them. It's because they are so remote, and even when they are close to cities, you still have they're not reachable by car. You still have to climb and hike to see them, and often there aren't even. I mean, there's a general indication like, oh, you can find megaliths here, but nothing else. From that point on, you're on your own. If you don't find them, then yeah, nobody can really help you unless you are shown that place by somebody who has been there and who does know where they are. Some of them, I mean, the one at Bomarzo, the pyramid, I would have never found that one ever if it hadn't been for two women that I met that knew exactly where it was, and they took me through forest that didn't even have a trail. So I was lucky to find them, but at some point I was even thinking like they could be leading me anywhere. It was an adventure that day. Fond memories of that day. Some of the megaliths here are even used as a climbing gear. You know those practice walls. They just put a few hooks in them, made a few extra holes in them, and now they are repurposed, which I find scandalous. But yeah, I mean, there's no money to be made out of these megaliths, and that is why nobody cares. I mean, I'm sure it's the same in many other countries. When there is no money to be made, the government is not going to care one bit. Well, and that is no different here. They're more concerned with their own pockets. That's always the case, I think, with politicians. I don't like a single one of them. But yeah, those megaliths. A few yesterday or the day before, yesterday I was in a chat group, and at some point the conversation was about Antarctica, and that made me think of the megaliths. That there might be remnants of a civilization under Antarctica. Well, some of the megaliths I've been to, Bomarzo in specifically Bomarzo. The feeling I got there, and when I saw those things, I just knew that these things were not chiseled out of some stone by Etruscans. I mean, if you see some of the Etruscan dwellings, they're not even near as spectacular as the most simplest of Roman villas, and they lived around the same time. The Etruscans did not make these megaliths. They did it. They don't look like their building style at all. They, I mean, their houses were very simple, very, I would dare say, unimpressive and unremarkable, even. They made some artwork, yeah, but the building style was rather simplistic, nowhere near as ornate as some of these megaliths were. And the one at Bomarzo, the way it was laid out, because it's in a forest, and you need to know where it is. It was, I could not shake this feeling, as if this thing was once something that looked nothing like what it looks like now. Like it was a huge city. And something happened. I don't know what. But Italy is prone to earthquakes. It has breach lines. Lazio it has a major breach line through it. That's why in Rome you can have earthquakes. And it must have been either many earthquakes, but it, the area is so huge, and only a small part of it is still accessible. There could be much, much more out there in the forest that nobody knows. The Bomarzo pyramid, it wasn't even found a century ago. It's a very recent find. Some hiker stumbled upon it accidentally, and then it became known and people wanted to go see it. But I really got the impression that these things are so much older than what we are told. Like, they were once inhabited by a people, humans, but not like us. These people were so different from us. But that's just my impression. I got that same impression at Norcia, Megaliths. Bomarzo and Norcia are two of the most impressive ones I've seen here. They're close by. But yeah, I mean, when I was there, and everything, every megalith is automatically a necropolis here. I don't know why. Um, it's never anything else. It's always marked as a necropolis. Even though at, at the Bomarzo pyramid, there were no bodies found. There were no body-sized holes carved out in the rocks as there were at Norcia. So if they were both used by the Etruscans as a necropolis, then wouldn't that imply that the burial rites were the same? But no, I mean, no bodies found. I mean, it's all very weird. It doesn't add up. And those are just some thoughts that I was having about them. I haven't really been able to go find other megaliths because with the rains, that the rain is already uneven, and no, it's with this amount of rain, I'm not going. I need to wait a couple of days also when the rain stop, because the ground is just unwalkable and very uneven. So slipping and sliding, accidents. Well, yeah, that was the impression I got at Bomarzo, that was once a huge city, because even outside of the places that were designated the necropolis, like this is the site that you have to see, there was, you have to come down from the street. There's a walk through the fields, then you have to take a huge walk around yeah, some private land, and then you have to take a few trails to your right, and then eventually you will see a sign like the necropolis is this way. Now, before that sign, in the rock, the ground, it was the same rock that those megaliths were built on. You could see square lines, like something used to be there but is no longer there. So that really made me think that this necropolis, this part necropolis that we see here, is not all there is to it. That's just a part that's still there. But it used to be so much bigger, as big as a city. Or, uh, yeah, who knows really? But I wish more people would take an interest in them, study them in a more sincere manner. I'm not a scholar or an academic or an intellectual, so whatever I say is just pure conjecture. It's a shame. It's a shame that so much gets overshadowed by Roman history. And if it's not Roman history, then it's Etruscan history. Nothing wrong with that per se, but those megaliths may be used by Etruscans, but they certainly didn't build them. And of that, I am absolutely convinced, and nothing can convince me otherwise.